Hello everyone, full-time whistle match review. The game's just finished. A couple of minutes ago it finished. Liverpool 3, West Ham United 1. I think we're 7th or 8th in the league because I think Villa won or they got some points on the board. And I don't think we're going to go any further down than that today. That's a situation, lot to take in, a lot of things happen in the match. Different things in the first half, different things in the second half. We'll let the chat build up. It looks like Richards. Yeah, mate. I'm thinking the same thing, mate. I'm thinking the same thing. Marking for me is all over the place. Yeah, every match we're just allowing so many shots on targets. It's incredible. I don't know if that's what's happening across all the teams, because I know, like I was saying previously, clean sheets are hard to come by for all the teams. But for me, mate, every time we score or we give them a chance, no one's picking no one up. Emerson mops up most of the time, and I'm like, it's not your responsibility all the time, mate. You ran yourself into the ground as it is. Before I bring Frankie, Antonio, I'm sure Frankie's going to say a few things again about Antonio, but I hope you're doing well, Benson. Cosmos, God, they're all angry, Frankie. They're all coming in, mate. Disappointing. Played well. Agar should be on the bench. Mate, you all know what I think about Agar, mate. You all know what I think about him at the moment. Nothing personal. Rich, hope you're doing good, mate. Mate, lots of things to go through, mate. But how are you doing, Frankie? You good, mate? Sunday? Having a good Sunday so far, mate?
Yeah. I was all right until about an hour and a half ago, mate, to be honest. And then it all started going downhill.
Yeah, I mean, like I always say, lots to talk about, lots of points are jotted down on my notepad. Again, happy with the setup, happy for Souček to play instead of Kudus, as an example, mate, in the lineup.
I wouldn't say happy, but it's exactly what we said, didn't we? If you remember after the review last week and we spoke about today's game, we said, well, we know it will be the exact same lineup. That it was always going to be the same lineup. So, again, it's just frustrating, mate, that Moyes seems incapable of looking at another team and thinking about their strengths and weaknesses and adapting to that. I know in the past, Stuart Pearce has said David Moyes is meticulous when it comes to scouting opposition. And we was told that this year, Irvine last year was involved in scouting oppositions for the Conference League, and he would be involved in scouting opposition this year in the Premier League. Didn't see much of that today, mate, to be honest. It was just go again, as we did last week against Man City, and we've ended up with exactly the same result. So,
well, mate, they were saying that apart from Man United, Salah has scored the most goals against West Ham, so he adds another one, another penalty. God knows how many penalties they've had against us. And, yep, Salah scored, and when he had one or two other chances, mate, again, no one picking him up apart from Emerson. Doesn't seem to be any understanding between Zuma and Agard. I'm not sure if I want to bring the goalkeeper into that as well, mate. I can't ask any more in terms of Emerson and Kufal at times, mate. I know their ability, but for me, when I see it, I see the effort, mate, a lot from both of them. And there's a great battle going on between Kufal and Robertson. I hate Robertson, you know what he's like. And yeah, giving it to each other like the good old days. But for me, this morning, in the match day morning show, Frankie, they were all saying, how do you think Moyes is going to set up? And I told them that it's going to be solid. It's going to be sort of holding our shape, looking to counter-attack, because it has served him reasonably well so far. I didn't see any reason to change that. Souček, mate, again, not getting personal. Great header, first half. Good save. Apart from that, mate, I just didn't see anything again. I didn't see him, the usual stuff that I go on about, any kind of tackles, any interceptions, anything to help the centre-backs. I just don't see any of it, mate. Alvarez was busybody, got himself a yellow card, and yeah, he's just what he is. Quiet little CDM, gets on with it, passes it along. Paqueta showed a lot, mate, for me. Yeah, he kind of held... It was a great battle between him, and you knew that their Uruguay guy and the Argentinian guy were going to hammer him, and they were hammering each other throughout the game. And I kind of enjoyed the battle between Paqueta and McAllister, and that was quite good to see. He kind of did all right, but yeah, at the end of it, mate, marking was poor. I know it's tough for Antonio. I get that. He had a good chance in the first 5-6 minutes, which, yeah, didn't quite go well for him. We didn't really have anything up front again, mate. I know Bowen's coming back from illness and a good header and a good goal from him. But in summary, again, for me, mate, it's just really average marking at the back. And again, you look at their goals and their missed goals. Salah and Nunes are proper strikers. Nunes even more. I know Salah's a converted winger, but he's kind of a striker that we see now. And that's what you get. That goal Nunes scored. He gambled. He anticipated. He got between our two centre-halves. That's what strikers do, mate. They got that DNA about them. Obviously, lots more to go into, mate. But, yeah, I'm sure you've... I know it's so quick after full time, mate. But, yeah, go for it. Like, I kind of mentioned what I can think off the top of my head before we go into it a bit more.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go... Look, there were some good things that were on show today, and there were lots of real problems that I think probably we were the creators of them ourselves, whether that be through David Moyes or just typical West Ham naivety, to be honest. Two things that I just want to address before we break the game down and go into more detail. I think one is just we've got this real excuse culture at West Ham, and it's been quite rife in the last few years. It's even more so now since we won the Conference League. But, you know, there will be a lot of people today saying with the City game and the Liverpool game, it's just one of them things. They're too good. They're impossible to beat, blah, blah, blah. I just don't buy into it, mate. I feel like we showed early on in that game that Liverpool were there to be got at. We created chances. And I do expect us to go to Anfield and put on a performance and try and be competitive and get things out of these games. You can't just write these games off. So I'm a bit frustrated how we just disregard these games and think today was good enough, because it wasn't good enough as far as I'm concerned. And the other thing that I just want to get off my chest before we go into it and maybe pull up some of the real positive bits that did come out of it is just this Antonio situation, mate. Too many excuses made for him this week. Too many people backing him. Too many people accepting what his behaviour is at the moment. Too many people saying it was fine with what he come out and said. Mate, it isn't okay with what he come out and said. Don't sit there and give it the big un and give it all the rubbish about I'm going to score this and I'm going to do that and we're going to finish above Liverpool. Because I tell you one thing's for absolute sure. Perform like that and miss those chances that you missed, Mikel Antonio. You won't finish anywhere near Poxy Liverpool. I agree. The attitude we should have is we should be able to, be in and around Liverpool in the league, and we should be positive and think that we're capable of achieving that. But he goes on about scoring goals. He goes on giving it the big one on podcasts, and then he comes out and that header from Souček's cross and those chances, they're the things that have to go in the back of the net, or at least hit the target with him, mate. He needs to keep his mouth shut. Someone from the club needs to put a stop to this nonsense, because at the end of the day, he signed another contract with us now. We've got him for the next couple of years as our main striker. He needs to keep his mouth shut, focus on actually putting the ball in the back of the net, and then we might actually achieve some of the things that he's going on about. I'm just fed up with it, mate. And the defence I saw from him last week was a joke. He shouldn't be doing these things. And it's all right if you come out and back it up. There are players who give it large and they come out and that first chance in the first minute, they'd bury it and then give it, look, I told you so. Mikel Antonio don't. He's absolutely, mate. I'm fed up with it. And yeah, that would just need to get off my chest, because he had his chances today and was absolutely useless when they come to him. So
it reminds me of, do you remember when Brady used to keep having that little article and kept on and then what topped it off was he used to say nice thing about Spurs and Daniel Levy and things like that. Used to really wind us up and that kind of thing. And Antonio, Callum Wilson, I don't watch it. I wouldn't watch it, but it just keeps on dominating the news every week when we want to talk about the game. It's like, oh, Callum Wilson was calling the conference win a joke. It's a Mickey Mouse Cup, and just together, just taking the mick out the club week in, week out. And it's annoying. And I don't know many players who would say things like that. Usually just say, yeah, it's a hard place to go to. We'll give it our best shot and away we go. And you say things like that, you probably motivate Liverpool a bit more, if anything. But it's the big games, like you said at halftime, mate. We were 1-0 up against Man City, kind of doing more than okay.
Before that, mate, rewind 1 second. just don't mean to jump in there, mate, but just one point that I really wanted to make there because we're
Yeah,
going
yeah.
into half time. When we scored our goal, did you feel like we were going to hold out to half time without conceded again? Because I was waiting for it to come, and obviously they did score in the end, but luckily it was offside. I know there's only 4 minutes to go, but I was sitting there really dreading it, thinking they're going to score again before half time.
That's what I was telling you. Between 44 and then second half 46 is when I shit it the most. And they were all over us, mate. Corner after corner.
Yeah.
Free kick. I mean, not free. Yeah, a couple of stupid free kicks. Crosses after crosses. I was having to go to the referee for some reason saying, blow the whistle. We're going to get done here, mate. It is very, because City scored after 50 seconds, second half. 44 to 46 is when we concede a lot, mate, you know. But I just saw in the second half, Frankie, we were tiring. They were fitter and coming back stronger and stronger. And again, I'm looking at the watch at 61 minutes saying, David, you've got to bring some creativity here, mate. You can't just keep a solid shape anymore. We're 2-1 down. Let's go for it. And he waited till the 67, 68. 6-7 minutes have gone. And then Kudos up front by himself. I don't get it, mate. I mean, if anything, because we haven't got many strikers, I would have kept Antonio on and brought him someone next to him. And that kind of thing. Fornell's coming on. I don't get that either, mate. I don't get it. You're trying to get back in the game. No, mate. You got to. It just shows you, mate. You're not going to use Danny Ings. If anything, I would have. You can put him next to Antonio if you want, and put Kudos on and try things like that if you want. I know it's kind of really keep a bit of a risk and keeping it open, but we're 2-1 down by then anyway, mate. But you're right. We were 1-0 up against City half time. We were beating, 1-1 today, only due to a stupid penalty. We looked kind of okay and in it. So, like you said, there's nothing to be afraid of. We've beaten Brighton. We've beaten Chelsea. Over the years, we've beaten everyone last 2, 3, 4 years, mate. It's just that, it's just the thing is like, sorry, mate, getting shopping done. Sainsbury's have arrived. I don't know what's going on there. Kids can't do anything about me. Anyway, so it is frustrating. We are going to go through what I jotted down, but top of my head, mate, I really wanted a striker in the summer, and the fullbacks need help, mate. And the centre halves are not giving me any great confidence at the moment, mate. I mean, Nunes has had I rate that guy, like I always said, but there is room for improvement in marking him, keeping tight to him. You saw how Van Dijk looked after Antonio. Didn't give Antonio a sniff. Kept him in his pocket, largely. And Antonio's, whatever he is, I'm sure he's not easy to mark, you know, but Nunes and Salah, they had the freedom. They had lots of room at the edge of the box. No one really marking them. And I think when the cross goes in, mate, sometimes, like you said, we don't know who's picking up who. It's just loads of spaces. Have a shot if you want. And then when it goes in, Agard doesn't want to even look at the camera. Zoom is screaming, and it's just all over the place, mate. Richard, mate, I'm trying to catch up with the comments. So you're mentioning, it's very hard to go into whose players who, mate. So I'd hate to go into that. For me, 35 million, I think it was, and mate, he's just all over the place, mate. You can't mark. It's a liability. There was one bit, if you remember, Frankie. Instead of clearing it, he brought it down, but Salah was onto it, mate. And luckily, Agard got rid of it. And the commentator was like, if Salah got his foot in there, he was away. So it's that kind of thing, you know. There is time to play. Of course, we want people to play from the back, but there's a time to do it and time to just put your foot through it and clear it, really. So we don't know, Richard, mate. We don't know. But let me catch up with the comments. Don't know where I am now, mate, but there we go. Yeah, with that one. So Cosmos has come back with listen, we've got Lincoln coming up, we've got Freiburg coming up, mate. We've got Sheffield United's, Newcastle's, we've got Villa. That kind of, every game's hard, mate. Every game's hard. I don't want to predict, mate. It's hard. But you can already see that we just need to outscore the opposition sometimes, mate. You know, the way we're defending.
Well, I think, you know, we're sort of relying on that as being the strongest part of West Ham at the moment, that, you know, we are pretty solid defensively. But I just don't agree with it. And I think it's a bit of a false sense of a situation, really, because like you said, mate, even these games where we were winning and picking up wins, we were just conceding shots after shots after shots. 22 attempts Liverpool have had today, mate. That's massive. That's huge. I think their average is only like 15 per game. They're well over their average today. Not good enough, mate. Not good enough.
I tell you what, you probably know this better than me. I can't analyse Areola. What's your comments on him? I don't know what to make of him. Could
Like
he
I
do a
said
bit
to you,
more?
I think he had this thing in that Man City game where he tried to make every single save look like a Superman save, even if it's just a comfortable save. He makes it look like he's pulled off the greatest save in the world. I wasn't that impressed with his Man City performance. Everyone was giving it, man of the match, unbelievable. Yes, he made more. He broke his own. This is what people have to understand, right? Everyone the big one because we'd had a good start and picked up some results. Areola broke his own record. He had the most saves in a game, whatever it was, against Brighton. And then we go into Man City and he breaks that record again by having the most saves. These are not good things, mate. These are not good things. Everyone's sitting there going, oh, that's great. No, it's not. It's warning signs is what it is. It's the sort of thing that you'll get away with, and then you'll just start unraveling. And I know it's not unraveling because it was Man City and it was Liverpool, and fair enough. But like you said, we're conceding a lot of chances. We're very defensive. And even being that defensive, we're just conceding shot after shot after shot. We're easy to be got at. And in the end, mate, if you keep playing that way, you will come unstuck. Moyes is the luckiest manager I've ever known for getting away with this type of thing. But as soon as you come up against the team with a bit of ability, mate, unfortunately, this is how you end up. And one thing I couldn't understand for me today is that the way Liverpool's weaknesses is down their channels, really. That their fullbacks are not the greatest defensively in the world. McAllister's also not that great in the middle. That game today had to be won through the midfield. And the way we set up with Souček and Paqueta on that left-hand side, this experiment with Paqueta on the left side of midfield, not going to work. You are taking all of the best parts of his game away. He's got no one in front of him to hit and pass to. He's only got Antonio standing up there on his own. All of that creativity you get from Paqueta being down the middle is just taken completely out the side. Even his tracking back and his work rate and his recovery of the ball, you haven't even got as much of that. So this Paqueta experiment that we're seeing, for me, it's not going to work, mate. We need to stop it quite quickly and get him back being used in his best way when he was, having really good performances. Because let's be honest, the two games we've had are the games where you need him to really step up and show that extra level of quality and class and be a big player, like Declan Rice used to. Big player game. When we play those big teams, you need him to step up. And unfortunately, the last two games, while Paqueta done some nice things today, he was nowhere near at his best, and it is because of partly where he's playing, but also I just expect more from him, mate. There was that one where he had a simple pass down the middle of the pitch, gave the ball away, no pressure on him, gave the ball away, but then
we didn't want to win it back. Yeah, there's one bit where
I don't care about that. Do the simple thing right,
They look so much fitter in the second half, Liverpool, than us. Paqueta, he lost the ball once as well, and then he didn't want to win it back. He just strolling around, and they were like onto it all over again, mate. So basically, first half, mate, like you said, possession-wise, we were doing all right. It was 64 against 36. But the thing, again, that penalty, Agard, I mean, what do you make of that kind of softish penalty that he just clattered? Very. I mean, Salah, the amount of penalties Salah's won against West Ham, I can remember loads, mate, and you just need to make contact and he's down. And it's not very clever, is it, mate, defending from Agard, doing that kind of thing?
It was unlucky from a perspective that the ball deflected away from... Agard was going to pick that ball up easily, and then it took that big deflection and it pushed it more towards Salah. And that's what killed us, really. As soon as that deflection happened, I went... I was watching the game, I was watching it with a boy, and I was like, oh, no. And before he'd even got a penalty, you knew they were going to score. They was either going to score, something was going to happen. The ball was deflected into him. You just went, oh, no, we're in trouble here. And, mate, as soon as it happened, you knew that there was no way that weren't going to be given. It was a penalty. Was it soft? Yes. Was he looking for it? Yes. Did he play exactly how he wanted it to? And we were naive as usual, sticking a foot in there? Yes. But at the end of the day, they're always going to be given, those ones, mate. Always going to be given.
Yeah, because these strikers, they seem to always be ahead of our guard. They're always ahead of him. So he has to drag them back, pull them back, because position wise, he's never in the right place. So he's always trying to foul to get the ball back. That's continuously happening instead of being there at the right time and blocking it or winning it fairly. That's the situation with him. And you like to think that David Moyes particularly likes to look at the defence in his training and his coaching. And if amateurs like us have picked up on things like going back a few games, not really improving, mate. So I don't know if Mavropoulos is going to come in now, or is it going to be three centre backs. I would have considered three centre backs in today's game, but then we don't really have the wing backs, mate, for that. I thought that might have worked. Yeah, 1-0 down, but you know, when we missed those two chances in the first 6 minutes, that's when I knew what's going to happen. Because, yeah, you get chances like that at Anfield, you've got to kind of put them away, really, as far as that's concerned. But then a bit of good news, mate. Kufal, 42 minutes. Nice little assist. Bowen improvising, mate, on the floor. Yeah, can't complain, can you? Up to that point, Bowen didn't do anything, but he got the goal. It was 1-1. And then, like you said, they scored an offside goal, mate, and it's kind of 1-1. But then as a manager, you're already picking up on what we're doing wrong. And I just want him to make changes early in the game, which he just doesn't do, mate. He just leaves it out there. Some of them played in that midweek game. It's 60 minutes, 65 minutes. That's when the game goes away from us, Frankie, between 60 and 70, I find, where you come at half time, and if you're still not seeing anything, you've got to change it, mate, you know? And that's kind of similar patterns in the City game, mate, similar in the Liverpool game. That's kind of what I'm seeing, really. Apart from that, before Núñez scored, he did miss a good chance a couple of times. Ward-Prowse, mate, set up Bowen, didn't he, mate, for that that corner. Headed goal didn't go in.
Yeah.
Again, I really enjoyed the battle between Paqueta and McAllister. Paqueta and Núñez, all South Americans, all really going for each other, mate. And then 59, 60 minutes, Núñez, mate, got in between Zuma and Areola. That Núñez goal, mate, any comments from you? Anything better we could have done, mate?
Yeah, I think Aguerd is a big problem again, mate. I think he wasn't close enough to his man. I really don't think he was. I think Aguerd all round today was an absolute nightmare. I think when you watch it back and you see replays, constantly he was at fault. He wasn't close enough to his man. He wasn't in the right places at the right times. He was just, and it ain't digging him out, mate. It's not one of these Souček vendetta things where people are just, there's real serious cases of him getting things wrong game after game after game. It's just not good enough, mate. And I was a bit nervous. We've got this issue again where we overhype players way too early. We did it with Aguerd. Some people were saying he was the signing of that season. What a world-class Rolls Royce of a defender. This and that.
I was one of them, I think.
We did the same with Alvarez. We haven't even had a proper look at Alvarez yet, and everyone is saying he's world-class and a world beater. I watched Alvarez against Brighton, and positionally, he was an absolute nightmare. He was a night. He keeps looking over his shoulder like that, thinking, where am I? Where's my man? That's what he does. He looks over his shoulder like that all the time. Alvarez, I said it off of. I said it to a few people in a WhatsApp group that it's really controversial, and I'll get a lot of stick for it. But I actually don't think Alvarez will work out for us long term. I don't think he's as good as necessarily. Just from what I'm seeing, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that it's new. Premier League, it's different, it's a bit more fast paced and a new system that we play and stuff like that, but I'm a bit worried, I've got to say. And what we were saying, mate, that we just don't, that first part of the season, we seemed like we had a bit of an idea of what we wanted to do and how we wanted to use our players. The final signings that came in really late on, like Kudus and that, just seems to have made us a little bit unsure. I don't think we really know how we want to play anymore, mate. We look a bit clueless. We look a bit lost. Paqueta's got this new role, which is weird. And I don't think we know what we want to do with Kudus. I don't think we've got a plan for him yet. I don't think we know whether we want him to play up front as an alternative to Antonio, whether we want him to play out wide. Again, like I said, mate, I think where we had successes today was when the ball went out wide. I think every time the ball went out wide, I think Soufal actually was winding Robertson up quite a lot of the time.
Yeah. I love that battle.
Yeah, he was picking up fouls off of him, doing really well. And over the other side, we know they're vulnerable. For me, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking out wide is where we're seeing success, right? So you've got a substitution. All of a sudden, he brings on Fornals down the middle. Why not Ben Rama out wide? I know
exactly.
Ben Rama hasn't been great. I know he hasn't been good for us. However, what did we always say? Coming on as a sub, he's lively, can cause problems, can cause trouble. He's a better sub than he is a starter. Get Ben Rama attacking that line, get him running down the thing and try and get at boxes. For me, that was the plan. That was the obvious thing that you could see. Instead, we bring on Fornals down the middle. I didn't understand it, mate. And like you said, it's the same old story that you get. All the people who love Moyes, forget whether you love him, whether you hate him, and whether you're in and whether you're out, and him winning trophies and everything else. The reason frustrations come are for games like today, when something seems glaringly obvious, and he just seems to throw players on without any real plan for it. What was he doing with Kudus? How did he? All right, chuck Kudus up top. Well, how are you going to get him the ball? How are you going to get him an opportunity? How are you going to get him a chance to score a goal? I didn't see it. You've got Fornals coming on. What was the idea of that? What was the real plan? What was he achieving down the middle? How was he going to change the game around for us and give us opportunities? I just don't get it. When Klopp makes changes, you see what he's doing. You think, right, he's changed him for him. It's obvious that's what he's counteracting. Okay, he's looking to shut out the game now. That's why he's changing him for him. He's got a plan. With us, it just seems like it's, right, I'm just going to throw him out there and hope for the best. And that's why people get frustrated with it, mate.
I think so. Again, this was it B&M? I don't know. Don't know the name, but anyway. but basically, mate, yeah, it's in-game management, mate, and you can see, like, even when we're 1-0 up or we're 1-1, let's go for it, mate, second half. But putting Kudus up front by himself, isolated, I don't see the point. You're going for a goal. Ben Rama, creative, fresh legs. Like you said, lots running at the fullbacks. That's their weakness. Makes sense. Fornals didn't do anything. Kudus, I didn't see anything. Souček in the whole game, I didn't see anything.
I will just pull up that was a great cross from Souček to Antonio. I know he gets a lot of stick, and I know he comes in for he can't pass and all of this. And I'm not saying he had a good game. I actually thought he had a decent.
Oh, was it? Oh, yeah.
But that ball that Souček put on Antonio's head was on a peach for him, mate. He was literally on a plate, and he just said, "Go on, nod that in." And Antonio somehow managed to not even hit the target. It was absolutely ridiculous.
Mate, that is a worry. When these guys get an extra contract, then you're going to see the poor form follow after that, mate. But I'm just happy that he's fit, mate. That's enough for me at the moment. But Reza Alvarez looking around wasn't, yeah, mate. Let's see what happens. Yeah, I mean, why are we?
For me, but like I said, I sat front row at Brighton, right? I sat front row at Brighton. I watched Alvarez because he was literally in front of me the whole game. I wasn't talking about today. I was talking about the Brighton game. When he was looking over his shoulders, he wasn't looking to see where players are. He was lost. He kept not realising where he was on the football pitch. And he was like, oh. And then he'd turn and he'd go, oh, I'm too far over to the right. And he'd go running back into the middle. He was literally lost in his position where he was on the football pitch. So I disagree. We all see it how we see it and whatever else. But I do think he's got a bit of issues positionally.
Yeah. True. Matt, welcome. How are you doing, mate? You all right?
Yeah, not bad, mate. How you doing, all right? How's the sound? Is it okay?
Yeah. Not too bad, mate. Not too bad. How you been? All right?
Yeah. Can't complain. Still alive, so.
Bloody yeah, you've been travelling a lot, mate. I've been seeing you on Facebook, like nice little holidays and stuff, innit? And that's cool. Yeah. How's Bobby? Yeah. How's Bobby?
Not well, but
no.
My dog had surgery. Busted back legs, herniated disc in the back. But she's had surgery, so let's see how she goes.
Oh, mate, good luck with that, mate.
I'll keep you updated. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, good luck, mate. Good luck. What did you think about this season? Because first time you're back. What did you think? What do you think about the season up to today's game, mate? Before I ask about today's game.
Well, to be honest, mate, I think considering everything that's gone on off in the closed season, I think we're doing okay. I mean. Today, disappointed but not surprised. I mean, at the end of the day, Liverpool have started to pick up pretty well this season. you know, we're at Anfield. Moyes is not strong against Liverpool. What is it now? 20, 21 games that he's not won. So, I mean, to be honest, you know, like I was just listening and agree with everything, you know, at the end of the day, you know, just a lot of strange decisions that you just think to yourself, we had a chance at 2-1 down, and the subs that were made too late, as we know, as always. And like you're saying, just not with any sense. And at the end of the day, if we can see it, it always makes us wonder why he can't see it. You know what I mean? What are we missing out on that he obviously can't see it? Because obviously the guy's getting paid millions of pounds a year to make these decisions. And if we, just as Joe average football fans, can think to ourselves and say, why? You know, bringing on Kudos in that way, isolated up front, you know, Fornal's ineffective, like you guys were saying, why didn't Ben Rama come on when he's one of these guys that are creative? Paqueta, I think, had one of the best games I've seen. I mean, that guy is an animal. I mean, we need to hold on to him. But, I mean, what do you think? Do you think the Bowen penalty incident, do you think that would have changed it if we'd have got the penalty there?
Yeah, there was a bit. You're talking about the one where we didn't get the penalty, isn't it? So yeah. Forgot to mention this to you and Frankie. This is the bit where, again, mate, we're just too nice, mate. Bowen wasn't asking for it. Yeah. He got up immediately, made the referee's decision an easy one. If that's Salah, mate, there's a way you fall and ask. I know, I'm not kind of. It's just the way to do it, and it could have been a penalty. I'm not saying 100%. Do you remember that one, Frankie, where he got clattered, didn't he? And he just got up straight away and.
Yeah, again, I don't know why we didn't make. Yeah, it's just I don't know.
I think that would change everything.
We're just listen. We are getting penalties. I know that much more than before, but sometimes we just need to be a bit more clever. This comment's funny, Derek. Hope you're well, mate. We ain't got any strikers, mate, so I don't know which ones he wants to use. But I hope you're doing good, mate. I know what you mean, mate. But for you, like, I know you're not in South America, Matt, but you must have enjoyed our battle between McAllister, Nunez, and Paqueta. They're all going for each other, weren't they? Clattering him and argy bargy, mate. That was quite good.
Yeah, there's a lot of you know, the Uruguayans are well-known shithouses, you know, and with Nunez, and also McAllister's quite a tasty little guy, and Alvarez is no fool. Like Frankie was saying, he is a little bit positionally poor, you know, especially to hold that position by himself. I think he does need to work on that, definitely. I noticed that as well, you know, that moment he's looking around and thinking to himself. And what happens there? A couple of times where he got caught out and pulled up a couple of fouls. You know why? Because he's that half a yard away from where he should be. In the same with a word. I think a word has the same problem. I think a word like we have with Issa Diop, you know, guys that just lack that positioning. Maybe that just little bit of concentration in crucial moments, and it just in the Premier League it's so fast, so quick, just that half a yard that you're not in the right position because you've not been focused and not looked, and you end up committing a foul, and like you guys say, especially with teams like City and Liverpool that are really good when it comes to the tactical fouls and drawing tactical fouls from the other team, you know, we get caught out with some dangerous free kicks, and I mean, but that's something we're just too nice, and we've always been too nice. We just really need to get a nasty piece of work in the team.
Yeah, Cosmos, we're 7th, so I'll take that. I'll take 7th.
I think he's on the wind up there, mate, because I'm being a little bit frustrated.
Oh, is he?
I just want to make this point, and I want to make this point to everyone. I am not in any way depressed or negative about how this season's gone so far, right? But what I don't care if today we played, you know, prime Barcelona, or I still want to win every football match. And I'm disappointed if we lose. Always disappointed if we lose. I'm a winner. I feel like I'm a winner in life. I always want to try and win at everything I do. And that's the attitude I have. And even if we'd have lost 1-0 today and we'd had 22 attempts and they'd only had 11 and we'd absolutely battered them, you know, and just come unstuck, I'd be gutted. I'd be devastated. That's just how I am. I always want to win. I'll get over it very, very quickly because it's Liverpool. You know, we roll on. Yeah. We go again next week. You know, Sheffield United round the corner. But this is the problem with having this write-off attitude, is that if we lose these two, going into these two games, my argument to people was, we know they're going to be hard, we know they're going to be difficult, right? But loads of us, every single West Ham supporter wants European football for the full season running, right? We all do. We're all loving it. The experience is amazing, and we all absolutely love it. Well, if you want to be in the top 6, you needed a point somewhere from these two games. You had to just try and pick up something. You can't just write all these off if you want to be a top 6 side. So I just had this real hope that, and I really did believe it in my head, that somehow we would find a point somewhere across these two games. We've come out with nothing. Now what happens is, right, because you've lost both, you put massive, massive pressure on yourself to win next week against Sheffield United. Massive. Because you cannot go 3 games without picking up a point. You can't do it. No. So, you know, I hope that we bounce back. I hope we go and absolutely trounce Sheffield United. Moyes shows us that it was just 2 games against 2 very good teams, and we come out and we win comfortably, and then we kick on again and we roll on into the Newcastle game, and we try and do something against Newcastle as well, because that's more on our level, if you like, at the moment, in the Newcastle game. So that's fine. But I just feel that when you don't pick up points, and the longer you go without picking up points, the more pressure you put on yourself, the more difficult it is. So I just have a little bit of disappointment when we lose these games, mate. I always believe West Ham can win.
Yeah, Liverpool is a big game. It's a big game, mate. You know, you always look forward to big games and challenging them. And like you said, if you get anything, it lifts the fan spirits. It's worth a lot, mate. Gary Breen or Agard, mate. Gary Breen was around that time when we sold Rio, and yeah, he was pretty poor, mate. Pretty poor. You know,
we dream of a team of Gary Breens. That was the best song ever.
We basically, I don't want to swear, but we messed up the Rio money, didn't we? Was it Christian Daly, Titi Kamara, Scott Minto, 1 or 2 others? It wasn't money very well spent by Harry back in the day. Razors like. Yeah, I mean, Matt Agard is really, really concerning, mate. And I've been mentioning him last 2 games now, and I kept an eye on him. And mate, marking, can't mark simple things, Matt. Can't mark. No one's marking anyone, mate. You know.
Yeah, he's reminding me a lot of Diop right now. You know, that's the closest comparison that I can give. You know, that has everything going for him that means that he should be a solid Premier League level defender, in the same way that Diop had everything: tall, agile, fairly swift. You know, when he gets moving, he was fast. But just the concentration and positioning is just let him down, because, you know, like today, some of the blocks that he made when covering out, you know, on the edge of the penalty box, going, you know, by the when it was going out for a goal kick. I mean, he made some wonderful covering, but at the same time, just his basic and what we didn't do today, which really disappointed me, we treated Salah like he was Messi or Ronaldo. We gave him so much. How many times did he run from 40, 35 yards out and almost got to the box, you know, or got into the box? I mean, he really took advantage of the space between Emerson and the centre backs, you know, and just tore us apart there, you know. And it was really disappointing, because I don't like Salah. I think he's a great player, but I mean, when we're not having a word that is best, allowing him to run at us, and like Frank was saying, that's
so much space, Matt. So much space for him and Nunez. Listen, I love Nunez, but his confidence is on the floor, Nunez, more often than not, and to give him that much room, and even but then it goes back to, if you've got a striker, that DNA of a striker got him those 2 chances. One of them where he got between the 2 strikers. I don't see Antonio doing things like that, making clever runs, you know, coming off, going far post, anticipating a cross before it goes in there, which a striker does. Antonio, like Frankie mentions, if he thinks he can't do it, so more often than not, he has to take the ball on his chest and then turn back and then bully 2-3 out the way, and then he scores. But very often you won't see Antonio go clean through and put it in the top right, bottom left, or anything like that. So I just want a striker. I'm sick of it, mate. I'm sick of it now. And like you said, the longer. Yeah, go ahead, Matt. Sorry, go ahead, mate.
No, I was just about to say, mate. Sorry to interrupt. But I was about to say, if we can maintain this team for next year, you know, we can't keep hold of Paqueta, especially, you know, which I think is going to be a key issue there. And now Antonio basically can't carry on for another year. There's no way in hell that he can continue. I mean, it will be out of this world. If we can maintain the base of this team and, like you say, get in a real out-and-out striker, that how many years have we been saying this for? You know, if we can get an out-and-out striker with this team.
Yeah. I know.
I mean, Kudus was a great player, but not who we need. If we've got Ben Rama, if we've got for now, I mean, we're buying Kudus. Why didn't we just buy a striker, an out-and-out goal scorer?
But Frankie already thinking about it. But you know that curse on the biggest signing of the summer. It's on Kudus.
Yeah, it is, mate. It's that what you said earlier on, mate. We never really know with our football club who wants certain players, and Moyes, how he throws his toys out of his pram if it's not a player that he wanted. We're all sitting here saying, oh, in the end, you know, our sort of new man sort of got his way, and Moyes accepted his players instead of the players that Moyes wanted. Was Ward-Prowse Moyes' man, who he's fit in perfectly well straight away and done really well with? Is Kudus our new sort of, you know, director of football kind of?
I think Ward-Prowse is Moyes. I think he's Moyes signing.
And Kudus, I think, is the other guy, but we don't really know. Yeah. And I look at what Moyes is trying to do with Kudus, and I just think he ain't got a bloody clue what he wants to do with a man, and it screams of that. So a little bit frustrating, because he's obviously a talented player, but if Moyes don't know, we know what happens when Moyes don't know what to do with players. We know how it goes. We've seen it far too often.
Well, the thing is, like someone was asking me, like, we want to get rid of Moyes and who we're going to get in, and you know, I don't know what's going on. But the way we scout, it's like kind of, it's kind of. It's reactive, not proactive. So did the manager know about Kudus? Was he on that list when the window opened? Or was it that, or is it just the agent said he's available, let's go for him? I think it's a bit more of that way, whereas you look at a Brighton-Brentford model, there's a clear plan, the list is there. They said, oh, you can take our manager if you want. We know who the next one is. And he's not going to be the obvious one who's out of a job like Sullivan does it. This guy would be someone we ain't not heard of. They've done the background work. And he'll be the next big thing, but we don't know yet because they've done their groundwork. So it's a bit of that.
It just reeks to me of Tim Steiner, mate. It reeks to me that Moyes got his man, Ward-Prowse. So he said, okay to Steiner, saying, okay, then I'll have Kudus. But Moyes, he's a stubborn old man, and we know what he's like. And if he don't know how to get the best out of a player or how to use them or whatever, he goes on the turn very, very quickly. And I look at where Kudus has come on the football pitch in the last couple of times, and I just think this stinks of me of the sort of situation where Moyes is going to end up not really wanting to use him bit part. He ain't quite going to work out, and then we'll end up selling him for £10 million next year. It reeks of that.
Because it's what you were saying, Frankie. Like for Ajax, he played 4-3-3 Kudus in the middle, but you're kind of rightly saying that if we put Paqueta on the flank to accommodate that, then you're not keen on Paqueta on the flank either. So what the hell? No. Who do we play in that middle role then? And Kudus, he sometimes used to go on the right, but he's left-footed. So I don't know. I don't want to play him up front unless there's something I don't know about him. But he's usually in that 3. And Paqueta for Lyon, did he come from Lyon? That was a 4-3-3 as well, and he's playing bang in that position, like you said. It's tricky. But bee's knees, mate. I wanted a striker. I wanted a fullback, mate. If Kovacic would have come, I would have been over the moon. I know, like Ward-Prowse, he's on the wrong side of his 20s. But because, Matt, I think, like a game today, if we had wing-backs, 3 centre-backs would have been ideal for me. With Mavropanos, with Agard, because they're not that good in the 4. They can't mark, but if they got 3... one of them will limit the space and we'll get away with it, you know? So I think away days like today, we got that option with wing backs. But once again, Matt, you know better than me, mate. Another window goes, we haven't invested in fullbacks again, mate, you know? It's just
I don't mind him though, mate. I am fine with Soufal as a right wing back because he covers a lot of ground and he can get up and down. He's not the best when he gets up the other end of the pitch, but he gets there enough and puts in enough balls that something.
He got an assist today, didn't he?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. And on the other side, I actually think Emerson's a better wing back than he is a fullback. So I have no problem with Soufal and Emerson playing wing backs. In fact, I think it suits their game more. But if you play with that, then I think you can't play with Alvarez as a holding midfielder. That takes Alvarez out. So you kind of, at the moment, with how we've got this squad, it's a little bit imbalanced, and you've always got to sacrifice someone to play these either two different ways. And at the moment, we ain't quite, we don't seem very close to finding out what our best system is and what our best team is at the moment, which is what happens when you do your business late in the window. We left it late. New players have come in after the first few Premier League games, and we're still catching up, trying to find out what our best starting 11 is and how best to accommodate everyone and fit everybody in. So Moyes has got a bit of a job on his hands to get that sorted now. And, you know, we've got an easier team, an easier prospect in Sheffield United coming up next.
Don't say that. Don't say that, Frankie. Easy. Don't say that.
No, I'm not saying it's an easy game. What I'm saying is it's not one of those games that if Moyes gets something wrong, you can overlook it. The last two games, we've been able to overlook it because of the opposition. Sheffield United, he's got to get that starting 11 right. He's got to find a way that we get the best out of the players on that day, and we need to get a win. So he's got a big job next week, mate, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he does and how he starts and how we line up, really.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we could have taken one of the CDMs out and perhaps put Mavropanos in the three at the back. We could try that in the future. We'll see how that goes. This comment by mate. Yeah, I mean, confidence, mate. What I'm hearing is that after that win in Europe, our confidence is through the roof. That's what I'm hearing when they came back and started well. And yeah, it is 7 for 8, which isn't bad, mate. So far, I think confidence. No, I think we're all right, but yeah, it's a shame we just didn't get anything out of the 2 games, mate. Souček, that one, I heard he's going to get a new contract. The news, as far as I know, hasn't come through the official channels. Kufal as well, whether it's good or not, mate, not really for me, but that's for another show. Sometimes it's a lazy decision to still have Creswell at the club, and you still got yes. And Frankie knows better than me that we were the first or second oldest squad in the league for a long time. I don't know where we are now with it. We've kind of signed,
you, mate.
Yeah, because Ward-Prowse is shit hot, but yeah, he was kind of 28, 29 in November. Then you offset, a couple of the others who are in their mid-early 20s, but that's something that we need to look at. I mean, even if you looked at the Europa defence, Matt, you had Oggy, Krezi, Fabianski. You fucking had the whole team there, mate. And the only Antonio's 33, is he? I mean, haven't addressed it, have we?
I mean, at the end of the day, mate, if we can have some of these older guys in, with the shittier games in the Europa League, I mean, it's fine for those kind of things. Although Ogbona's mistake did show how his age is catching up with him. You know, the mistake in the Europa League, because he kind of dithered on it there, and obviously, unfortunately, had no gas to get back and catch up with the guy once he lost it. But I mean, at the end of the day, if we can get these guys out as fillers, I'm surprised Creswell's still hanging around after all the drama that was going on.
What did he do in that game? Nothing. And then went off 43 minutes, mate. Passed it backwards, sideways, gave away the ball a couple of times.
Doesn't want to be there, mate. And you can see it the couple of times I watch. You know, I've got my Sky where I can flick on and see different views, and you see him on the bench. He doesn't look happy. He doesn't look, whenever he's on the bench. And the news that came out of the club that he really threw his boys out the pram. So I mean, for me, guys like that nowadays, I mean, as much as it's a shame because he's been a wonderful servant, but at the end of the day, if he doesn't want to be there, we really don't need that kind of negativity around the club. You know, we've had it with other people, and it's time just to ship him out. At the end of the day, you're there for a service. If you're not going to fulfill what was required, then time to jog on, mate.
Yeah, I saw the West Ham podcast with Ben Johnson and Kudos and Mavropanos, and Ben Johnson, he doesn't come across as anything special. I won't say more than that. And he said the 2 players that he looks up to that have helped him develop is Creswell and Danny Ings behind the scenes, which is quite interesting to see. Cosmos striker. That's another thing I want to ask. Again, I think Frankie can have his say like he does. Danny Ings wasted, isn't he, mate? Complete waste. It's a bit of him, bit of the club. I don't know. What can we do with him? You know, he can't play up front by himself, can he, Matt? Come on, mate. You know, how many times are we going to keep trying that?
No. Danny Ings, no. I mean, the thing is, with the one up front, you need that special kind of player. We had it in Arnautovic, and that's why those days were so glorious with him. When we brought in guys like Zaza, we brought in all these other guys, Skamaka.
Zaza, oh my God, yeah.
They couldn't do one up front. That's why Antonio has the physical, because Moyes looks for that very specific kind of player with a physical aspect. With that head towards goal, and Antonio feels what Moyes is looking for in that role. But if we want to move up, from this team that's challenging for Europe, that could hang around in the 6th and 7th, then it's just got to the point now that everybody laughs at us for Antonio up front. You know what I mean? We're a laughing stock. And it's just got to the point where it's embarrassing now. I mean, like they say, even a broken clock is right twice a day. You know what I mean? He'll have his great games, and the sun shines on the dog's arse sometimes, and he'll have those wonderful times where he'll smash it cross, to the bottom corner, but then he'll have these wild ones, and it's just, if we want to be where we want to be, then we need someone better. Full stop.
Yeah, this is a new person. Scientific findings. I'm guessing you might be from Africa, mate, joining in because of kudos. Stick with West Ham, mate. Don't give up yet. Listen, we've been in the game a long time. Don't give up just like that, mate. We'll use him somehow, in some way, mate. Gary Cray, how you doing, mate? Antonio needs to... Yeah, Matt, we all heard that. I'm just sick of that podcast me and Frankie were discussing earlier on, mate.
Nonsense.
We just about stopped Brady doing that paper thing. Now he starts doing this thing. It's ridiculous. It's embarrassing, mate.
Nonsense.
Yep. I mean, listen, we were looking at that El Nesri, mate. We flew private jet, met him in some posh restaurant, wherever he was, in Marina somewhere, and talking to him, talking to that El Nakiti, the PSG guy, and don't know who else we were talking to, but I was happy because they were in Antonio's kind of mold. They can hold it up. They're tall, they're strong, they can run the flanks. And if that's the way he wants to play Moisey, I was like, okay, at least you got someone you can use. If that's the model he wants to follow, you kind of got to say, all right, but that didn't happen. There's 3 times we've tried to sign El Nesri. I don't know what's going on.
No.
Lynn, welcome. Lynn has had enough. Waste of space. I mean, Antonio, the thing with him, and we know, he has a couple of crappy games and then he just pulls something out the bag,
Emil Heskey style, mate. Remember Emil Heskey? How long he lasted at Liverpool? Just because he'll be shit for 8 games and then have 2 games where he'd score a double and then another goal, and then he would keep alive. Same as Antonio, mate.
I think the thing with Antonio, which I think I'm understanding now, Frankie might know a bit more, that when a striker comes in to challenge him, he throws a wobbly. He doesn't like it. He kind of throws a tantrum. He gets upset. He does things through the papers to unsettle himself and the club. And then obviously he's bad-mouthing Skamaka, weren't he? I don't know how Skamaka's doing at the moment, by the way. I ain't got a clue, but started talking about him on that fucking podcast.
He's injured.
Oh, wow. Okay, interesting. But, yeah, speaking about your colleague like that you always don't fancy him. He's a bit of a... Yeah, I shouldn't say things like that, mate. But Lynn, welcome anyway. Listen, opinions it's all about, and we respect every opinion. And it just goes that all the people on my channel are like us anyway, so no issue, mate. Next 4 games could... Listen... The thing I've noticed is we are 6-7 points already from the top 4, top 6, top 4 definitely. Yeah. So that's a big gap already. Not that I'm saying we're going to finish top 4, but you can already see, Frankie, that it looks like everyone from 6th till 12th, 13th, they're all going to be bundling together by 1 or 2 points, and then the rest are going to run away with it. It looks like the bottom 3 is a bad bottom 3 that's developing. I know Luton got a point.
Really bad.
But between 7th to 15th, I don't think there's going to be much in it, isn't it? I don't think there's going to be much in it. And then we'll be scrambling for that last European spot. But Matt, any plans to come to the British Isles, mate, anytime soon? Or are you whizzing around North America and South America, mate?
Yeah, mate. I'm not sure whether it's going to be Christmas or around Easter time, just for work. My wife just got back from Canada. Just went to work there.
My wife went this morning. Yeah, she's gone this morning
yeah?
to Toronto. Yeah, she's back next week.
Oh, that's where my wife was, Toronto as well.
I'm trying to sort of lad session out as usual. I always do that when she's out. I just get the boys in. She's not watching anyway, and got some boys coming in next week. We'll make some curry, get some booze in, and all that.
But have you guys taken a moment before I arrived? Did you have a laugh at Chelsea or not yet?
I was really fuming because of I wanted to watch the North London derby, and then I thought our game should be 4:00. Because I don't know what you think, but because I can watch most games anyway, but a lot of these weird games are shown. Last night's game, I don't know if you saw Frankie, Man United Burnley. It was awful, mate. Oh my God. United have got some issues, mate. Great goal by someone we're not that keen on anyway, Bruno, but wonderful goal on the volley. But yeah, West Ham, Liverpool should be either 2 or 4:00, and the London derby should be 4, unless the police have said something. But Frankie, Arsenal, Spurs, they're soft derby, innit, like Liverpool. I mean, in terms of fans, they don't say nothing much to each other, do they? It's all...
Even from London. One's from Middlesex.
Nah,
from North London, anyway. One's from South London, one's from Middlesex. So it's a North
I was
London.
born in Middlesex, mate. That'd be like that.
I ain't quite sure. So it's a two-bob derby, mate. They make out it's one of these really vicious...
No. We want some fisticuffs. They don't happen, innit? None of that. They'll leave that to a couple of other clubs that won't mention, mate. But Gary, stick in there. But you're right. I mean, the more Frankie... Because I was really excited about Kudos when he scored, and then Frankie put me down to earth again as usual, and I'm like... I get excited like a kid very easily, very quickly, and... Yeah, you never know. Football's a funny old game. We might find a position for him as a left wing back. You never know. And we see how it goes. but Matt, what do you think about our signings? I mean, Ward-Prowse, my goodness, mate, Matt. And a lot of letters to put in the back of your shirt. Very expensive, but great player, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of player that we should have got a long time ago, maybe a couple of years ago. Works to our strengths, set pieces. Smart. There was a little bit of doubt around his ability to influence the game, from the midfield. But he seems to be shutting us up about that, and seems to be being a positive influence, being able to, put in some decent assists and not only just be a set piece merchant like some accuse him to be. And I think he seems to be good at that as well. You know what I mean? From the interviews and everything, he seems to be down to earth. Seems to be a smart guy to have around. Alvarez, like I said, good potential. Thinking he'd work, but he's good potential. He's strong. He's tall. He likes to play football, which is a good thing.
How big is he in Mexico? Like, you knew about him a little bit before? Or?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, mate. Yeah, he's massive. Yeah. He's well known, and he's well known for being a really. He comes from a very, very poor family, mate. That he used to take the bus like 3 hours a day to go training, and 3 hours to go back. And so he's meant to be a nice, humble kid. And a good hard-working lad.
Do you see him?
No?
But do you see him on local TV doing adverts and stuff? Do you see that in the commercials?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, he's popular. Yeah, he's a popular guy. And funny enough, it spoke a lot. I don't know if you guys saw the Ajax video after being there for 3 seasons. He made a big impression there as well, And I got a good friend of mine who worked for Ajax for a couple of years as a coach. And he said that he made a big impression there and really got on with a lot of people. So, I think that's another good, popular, positive person to have around the room.
I think he'll be all right. Kudos, I don't know anything about him. Ward-Prowse was such a no-risk signing. It's unbelievable. And thankfully no one took him. What did you think about missing out on Barnes, even though he's kind of... Yeah, not quite getting in the Newcastle team because of Gordon. I was quite excited about Barnes, but I don't know, mate. What do you think?
But at the end of the day, mate, another great player, but we're just, missing the forest fight for looking for the trees. We're just not getting that striker in. We're looking for these creative midfielders. We're buying, like a Kudos. We're looking at all these guys. We're filling out the midfield, and, we just keep missing. I mean, it's so obvious to us, but I mean, I was really pleased about Mavropanos. I think he'll come really good for us. I really have.
Not 17 million, not a lot of money in today's market. Not a lot of money.
No.
Yeah.
Smart guy. He can hit a ball as well. He's a good defender. He's improved. Over the years. He's still young. I think he's 25, 26. The guy.
Yeah, he was at Arsenal, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. No, and I'm really pleased about that. I think that, like you say, he gives us that option to have. If we have Zuma, Awed, and Mavropanos as a back three, that's a really solid back three, you know, and can give us another option. Whether or not we'll use that as an option, that's another story. But I think it'll give us that option, and it'll give us that competition because, like you guys were saying, we're right now with these mistakes. The Premier League is a tough league, and you know you've got to understand that if you're going to make mistakes like this, your places are going to be at risk. So I think that, like in the same way that Ogbonna came in, you know, when Aguerd had a couple of blips, if Mavropanos can come in, I mean, I think it'll be good competition there between the boys.
Yeah, I definitely know Mavropanos in terms of a physical specimen and set pieces. He's going to be unbelievable. Even Ward-Prowse today. Yeah, he didn't get an assist, but Bowen was close and one or two other things were close. So that boy's on the money. It's just in a flat back for Mavropanos next to whoever Zuma. How they're going to mark people is my concern. And we'll see how that happens. Going back to this comment, Bees Knees, what it is, we get a proper striker in, and then Bowen's on the wing, and Antoni's on the other wing, and then whoever Paqueta in the middle, then we're kind of all right. That's why sometimes, we have an extra go at Antonio, extra go at Bowen, because that's who we've got. But if they were kind of behind a proper striker, less pressure on them, and they'll chip in with a lot of goals. They'll chip in with a reasonable amount. You know, it's just at the moment all the pressure's on Antonio Bowen to score, and Bowen. I mean, Frankie. He's got a few goals, hasn't he, this season? I mean, he's on the board. But it's a bit weird because some games he does go missing. I get that. He does go missing, even including today, for a large part. But then, I mean, he came up with a goal. I mean, what did you think about Bowen, Frankie, today?
No, yeah, he had a good game today for me. I mean, I put him... I know everyone's... I know you liked him, Matt. And we've all got our own style of players, haven't we? Like, we all like what we like. And that is a personal choice. I didn't rate... I'm not saying Paqueta had a bad game because he didn't have a bad game. I just didn't think he was the Paqueta level that sometimes we can see. For me today, he's a 7 out of 10, not an 8, 9 out of 10. I put Bowen right up there. I feel like he caused a lot of problems. That header, you know, either side of the goalkeeper, that's a goal. He's just he's by far our biggest threat. And if you could turn around now and say, pick a player to go through one-on-one on goal, who do you want that player to be? There's only one player you say, and that's Bowen. Yeah. You'd even have Bowen over Paqueta, you'd have Bowen over Ward-Prowse, you'd have Bowen as the man who's going to put the ball in the back of the net. We had that spell where he was playing a little bit more centrally, and we all said he was missing a few too many chances. Do you remember that, Jazz? We said he sort of needed 3 or 4 chances before he notched. He's tidied that up a little bit. He seems to be getting goals at any sniff he gets now, which is really important for us because we don't create much. So I'm happy with Bowen, mate. I still think he's our most dangerous player. I feel like he gives other teams the most problems. I feel like his pace really gives teams problems at times. He's still not the most blistering pace player in the world, but he's the fastest player we've got. And it causes other teams problems because he's like that little, he's got that desire to always want to be in front of a player and to really push teams. And you know, I think he's, for me, just still our best player by a mile for me, mate. I just think he's that good. I really rate him. Say he did ever sign for Liverpool, mate. If he went to Liverpool, you'd have the same syndrome we've got with Arsenal fans going, "Oh, since Rice moved to Arsenal, ain't he amazing?" They'd do the same with Bowen. They'd be thinking he's an absolute world beater because he would be better even still, mate, in a better team. So.
Frankly, he's a kind of he's the kind of guy like
they were
looking for Raul Jimenez. You know what I mean? They were looking to buy Raul Jimenez. Unfortunately, got that injury, and they ended up picking up Diego Costa, you know, instead of Jimenez. He's that kind of player that can play wide and get goals, and that's what Liverpool. That's why Liverpool have been so successful for so long because they really focus not only on getting decent strikers, but packing the wings out with guys. You know, if you look at the guys now that they've got, you know, you're looking at Diaz, you're looking at Núñez as the central striker. That Gakpo that I think will come good as well. Potter, the guys, you know, they've just got goals everywhere. And I think that if we can just get that central striker and fill out the wings, like you say with Bowen, that undoubtedly is our top goal scorer. Like Jazz says, Antonio, pacing down the wing, blistering, maybe getting Benrahma on form and getting a few more goals from him. You know, there's potential there. But I think until we get that central piece, which is that striker, I think, because it doesn't even have to be a top goal scorer, because look what Liverpool did with Firmino there. Firmino didn't even get more than 10 goals, maybe 11 goals a season. You know what I mean? But it was just somebody that just gelled the team together. And I think as the rest of the team is improving, I just don't think that Antonio, I think, is the right player for that position.
I think Frankie is right. We've never really had pace at West Ham for years, Frankie. We don't really. No. We've had, even when Benrahma signed again, there were wrong reports saying he's rapid, and he wasn't. Bowen. I was thinking of him in that goal against Newcastle, mate. Yeah, from the flipping halfway line or nearly there, the nutter. That's all he done, wasn't it, Skippy? That's all he done. But I used to love watching that. Bellamy was fast, wasn't he, Frankie? Bellamy, I loved it. I loved him.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think a lot of people also thought this Kudus was going to be this man, but he's not no pace merchant. Do you know what I mean? And it is what worries me. I think looking at his physicality, his style, and everything else, it does seem like in behind the striker is a good position for Kudus. But unfortunately, mate, we refuse out and out to play a player in now. So if that's where we think his best position's gonna be, he'll have the same syndrome as Benrahma, Fornals, all those players who we always wanted to play in that role. Unfortunately, he's never going to see that role, the man. So a bit of an issue there. But yeah, you're right, mate. We lack pace massively. Pace causes people problems at the end of the day, mate. And exactly. You know, like you say, when you need an outlet, when you need someone to run onto something, and I do think that, and I will say this, and people won't like it again because they defend Antonio to the hills for some reason, but I actually think Benrahma would benefit from playing against a striker who knows how to hold a ball up and feed the inside forwards, the people out the other side of him. Yeah. I don't think Antonio does it enough. I think when he does hold a ball up, or he does manage to win the ball instead of rolling on the floor like he seems to want to do these days, it's then what he does with it. And I don't think enough he knows how to either flick it onto a wide player or how to get it, quickly turn and play it to a wide player. And good strikers know how to do that. They know how, when the ball comes to them, get it to the wide man and then get themselves in the box and wait for the ball to come in. I just think Antonio's great when he doesn't have to think. Antonio's great when he's like a ball in a china shop, just going steaming through. And he can be a real bit of a nuisance and a pest, and he's so physical. But if we had someone with a bit more of a brain to help play alongside Bowen, I think he'd benefit a lot, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Going back to this comment, yeah, go ahead, mate.
No, I just wanted to say I agree 100%. I think the difference is you put on a scale of hold-up play, on one end you can put Bergkamp, or for example, on the other end you can put Antonio. And I think the key issue is, like you say, Frankie, he doesn't think before he receives the ball. It's like he gets the ball and you can almost see his eyes thinking, what do I do? What do I do? Where's everyone? You know? And it's just so frustrating because you just think you're gonna hold it up, check your shoulder, see where guys are, and play first touch, or even 1-2 seconds hold up and play with a second touch. But it just seems like he just ends up, like you say, getting caught up, and with his strength maybe ends up falling on the floor and wins the foul. It's just not there. And the thing is that if that's difficult to teach an 18-year-old kid, you know what I mean? Because it's something that really you have to teach from young. About
Sheffield,
it's just gone. It's just never going to happen. You know what I mean?
Sheffield United are 3-0 down, boys. 40 minutes.
Yeah, Newcastle doing the business.
They're right behind us, mate. 1 point.
It's nice that we've got Sheffield United next, but it's not so nice that we've got Newcastle after that. So
afterwards, yeah, and Villa as well after that, no?
Yeah,
Villa are looking okay as well.
Villa's weird. Yeah. Villa will have a game where you think they're great, and then they'll come up with a terrible result, and you just think, what happened there? They're really hot and cold, Villa, at the moment.
Diaby's looking good, mate. Diaby, he's got a couple of goals. Got one chalked offside by half a centimetre and things like that, mate. Razor saying to Frankie, I'm looking forward to mate, what it is, Razor. Yeah, I kind of Moyes out. Yeah, I got knackered with that last year, mate, and I'm just going to focus on game by game. Yeah, I've got no. I've got no energy left with Moyes out anymore. I'm not going to go down that alley. I'm just going to focus on game by game and tactics, formations, which players, that kind of thing. Because I don't know what our board do. They're not predictable, mate. And I don't know, mate. But I wanted him out last October. Yeah.
It's not worth wasting any energy or wasting any sort of time or breath on talking about Moyes in and out, because it's just not going to happen till at least the end of the season. So I think we all need to just deal with this season, mate, and deal with it game by game, and call out situations for what they are. It's, should Moyes have started Souček today? Yes or no is fine. Moyes out because he started him isn't fine. I think, we've all got an opinion. We all, some love him, some don't. Some want him to stay, some won't. Mate, we're going to get a big tell this season. This season's a big season for us. We're coming off the back of winning our first trophy. We need to kick on. He's been given money again. We've brought in some big players. Moyes has now got to prove it, and there's no point in us start getting all that and not being behind the team. We've got a big job to do against Sheffield United next week, mate, with a train strike. So we've all got to make an extra effort to get over there. What we don't want is an emptier stadium, a stadium that isn't right behind the team, and not try and push the boys on to bounce back next week, mate. We've got to get behind them and try and get a win on the board again.
Yeah, I've just changed the let me just can't see it. Why hasn't it changed? That's odd. Hang on, let me just show this. Hang on. Don't know what's going on. But Daniel, thanks for joining, mate. Daniel is the millionaire behind the pound stores. Good lad. Daniel's just joined us. Only joking, mate. Someone's going on about chicken tikka masala in the chat. What are you lot going on about, eh? What are you lot going on about? Mrs. ain't here, mate. Beans on toast, mate. Beans on toast.
Know what, Jazz? Where my wife was in Toronto, she didn't realise that it's a massive Indian community there.
Flipping hell, mate.
In the neighbourhood where
mate.
she was, she said, yeah, I was well
loads
she was sending some amazing food, in the restaurants that she was eating in. I was well jealous, mate.
Yeah, loads of Sikhs there with their turbans, mate. Loads of them. Loads of them in Canada. Loads, mate. And of course, they're being a bit of a pain at the moment, but we'll go into that. It's political. I won't go into it. But yeah, got loads of family.
Got loads of family. Out of football, Jazz.
No, I'm not going to go into it. Yeah, we've got loads in Vancouver. I've been to Vancouver, Edmonton, or Ottawa, Montreal, Toronto. Yeah, Toronto, New York. Yeah, you can do it in a day. It's a long trip, but you can do it just about. I think she's in Windsor, Canada, which is a bit weird, and it's there's an American city which is across the border, and they were saying if you fly into America, you get to that city quicker rather than landing in Toronto. But yeah, that's how weird sometimes the Canadian-American border is. Oh, and Rice is on the bench. Oh, I didn't know that.
Taken off for the second half.
No. Oh, interesting, mate. Interesting.
Yeah, he did. He got subbed off on the 46th minute.
And wow. Well, anyway, we don't give a shit. Daniel, mate, thanks for joining in anyway. No way, Moyes. Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens, mate. I mean, sometimes clubs make a change and it's not that clever. It doesn't quite work out. So I just hope we got a plan, mate. I know that we were looking at mate, who's that player that used to play in midfield for the Middlesbrough manager? What's his name? He used to play for Man United. Yeah. So they've only
got first result the other night. They done well.
Yeah.
And what I don't understand is these Moyes loving part of our fan base, how they was all giving it, everyone wanted Carrick and people said they would have mate, give him a chance. Like that division's an hard division. Why you'd want to have a go at Carrick just because some people fancied him to come in and give a bit of West Ham character back to West Ham again, you know, they're entitled to that opinion. And okay, he's had a bit of a poor run after he had a really good run, but I only want to see West Ham people do well, mate. I just want to see all people who have ever done good things for West Ham and have only got good things to say about West Ham. I just want to see him do well, and that's it. And we should want to see him turn it round and perform and, you know, pick up results. And I was really happy to see that he'd got a result in what was quite a tough game for him, mate.
Daniel, confirm, are you Man City or Man United, mate? Just let me know, mate. It's interesting. Sean, how you doing, mate? You need a top striker, mate. It's like Frankie said, there's not many clinical strikers out there anymore. What we need is it works for Moyes, a big fucking lump that can run around all fucking day, left, right, hold it up, bring the rest of it into play, and he's usually in and around the area. That's what I want, isn't it, Frankie, in that system?
Yeah.
You're not going to get Cotty and McAvenny together, Ian Rush and John Aldridge and all those people. You're not going to get that. So all we can hope for is, but like Frankie said, whoever you fucking going to buy him, just use him and you know about him and you work. You're not going to guess. That's all we want. You use it for a method. Ward-Prowse, fucking hit the ground running, getting so much out of him. Long may it carry on. Alvarez, I think Frankie Alvarez will be all right. He'll be all right. He's a CDM. He doesn't do anything more. He's not going to go down the wing, score an overhead kick or nothing. I think he'll hopefully. But the worry is, Frankie, we don't have much of a coaching team, mate. You know, we're a couple of short unless they've joined and we didn't know who they were. I know the two that he wanted to bring in, they didn't have a Scooby, mate. They're like 39 years old, 40, quite young in terms of coaches. Nolan, I don't really know what he brings anymore to the forefront. Nolan always looks like he's been on a night with me, mate.
Well,
you know,
I'll say one thing that I think he does bring. Nolan was obviously if you remember when we had a good spell during lockdown and so on, and we were scoring goals from set pieces with Dawson and so on. It came out that Nolan was like your set piece coach, like he was coaching people what to do from set pieces. I think he's got that role back again at the moment. I think he has been working with Ward-Prowse. What we saw the other night was Souček coming off of that near post and then getting in front of the man and flicking it. I think that's a Nolan thing. I think Nolan's very involved in set pieces again since Ward-Prowse has come in, and I think he is adding that value. I watch Nolan quite closely when I sit in the bowling sometimes, because you sit.
I thought you said in the bar.
Not the bar, man, not the bar. The bowling lounge behind the dugout. And
lovely. Yeah,
he has got the right temperament, mate. I will give it to him that at the Players Awards dinner this year, he made an effort to mingle with the fans, to talk with fans, to have, you know, I think he has the right temperament, and I think that's needed, because I think Moyes is totally the opposite. So I think you need that link between the management and the fans, and I think Nolan does achieve that. And I do think Nolan is he's an hard man. That comes across in his personality when you meet him, that he's a no-nonsense, very stern man who expects, you know, a certain level from things. So, you know, I do think that's important. But you're right. We've gone from having pretty much the full England international coaching setup to a very, very different level of setup at the moment. So it is a big transition for us, mate. I do think like I said, I know we had a freak start to the season where we, you know, got some results completely what people felt was like against the actual play of the game.
Matt, sit down, Matt.
But we got those.
Sorry, mate.
but
he's doing his steps in. He's doing his
having a
steps,
march.
10,000 a day. Matt can't sit down,
get
mate.
Those wins, mate, and you know, we now need to find, with the players we've got now, if we want Alvarez in the team, you know, his position is just, it's easy. We know where he plays. He can only really play one way, and that's where he's going to play. That's fine. Paqueta, we've got a bit of a job to find where he's going to play. If you want Kudus in, we've got a bit of a job there. Very interesting today that Ben Rama wasn't the sub that came on, and it was Fornals.
It was.
If anyone you felt had one foot out the door, it was Fornals, and you would have thought that Moyes would 100% have put Ben Rama on over Fornals. So Moyes has obviously gone on the turn with Ben Rama again, so that's an interesting dynamic. What's he going to do there? Mate, we've got a little bit of work to do, as I said, and the coaching staff have got a bit of work to do to find a system to accommodate these players that we've got now, and find a system where they're all going to benefit and all going to work out. And mate, we need to get down to it and sort it out as quickly as possible. Because what I don't want to see, and this is absolutely what I don't want to see, we said after the Man City game, we know the lineup will be against Man City exactly the same. Against Liverpool, exactly the same lineup that played against Man City. Well, Sheffield United, I don't expect to see that, and I don't want to see that. I want to see a different lineup. I want to see changes. I want to see Kudus in there, and I want to see that we've actually thought about something between now and next week, and try and give them a few problems with, a bit of a different feel to the starting lineup, something a bit fresh and something a little bit different. So we'll see, mate. I'm going to be looking forward to that moment next week, mate, when that lineup's released, and look forward to seeing what plan they've got. If it's all the same names as we saw the last two games, I will be very, very disappointed, I've got to say.
I think it's like you said, it's kind of you're at home. You've got to get 3 points. You've got to entertain the fans, and you don't want to play Souček, Alvarez and Paqueta all in the same team, and then it's going to be one up front anyway. But then it's just.
I think. Sorry, Jess, I think we're wasting a player. I think if we play Souček, Alvarez and Paqueta together, I think we're wasting a player, because I think if with Paqueta's work rate and Alvarez's ability and his potential, I think that's enough. I think Souček, apart from a few things that he offers, is just wasting a player out there, and someone that we could put in, maybe a Ben Rama, maybe a Kudus if we begin to see something a little bit more useful. But like you say, it's just too defensive, and like you say, we're at home. We want to entertain the fans, and we want to come back with that result.
It's going to be my first home game, so hopefully see Frankie. We'll do a few things. And if you see the ticker at the bottom, Frankie is hosting an event that starts at 11 o'clock that day, which is a great, exciting partnership with the West Ham Way folks, ex-employee Dave. So Ian Bishop's going to be there, so you can listen to the interview, meet him, have some very good value drinks, great food, and Matt, you might not know, but Frankie, great experience in hosting the events. Did a couple around the conference, the semi-finals, the final. Really, really ran well. Would have outsold the capacity and things like that. So it's in good hands. What I would say in Frankie's hands and the other folks, that it will be a great event, hosted well, and good value for money. You see a legend coming over from America, Ian Bishop. So if you don't come this weekend, because that's when I began to watch football, so fond of memories. And he's one of the few, Frankie, who answers my Twitter thing, so he's a very nice guy. I think he used to have a podcast with his two boys. I think it's still running. I haven't listened to it in a while, but Bishop is like one of us. He really is one of us. He's known to mix in and sit down on the terraces and watch the games with the fans, and there's no gimmick about him. He's not like some of the players these days. And Bish was one of the few, like Monker and kind of Modric, who could...
A little exclusive for you, Jazz. So funny you should mention that, man. The Newcastle game, we will be back with our second event, and the guest for that day will be John Monker.
Oh, nice.
That is weird. I'm lucky enough, I've met him in one of those similar, got a shirt, Dr. Martin shirt he signed, and won't give too much away, but John these days is a born-again Christian, and because he was a bit of a mad nutter back in the day. But him and Bishop were one of the few players, you won't get any of them now, that could put their foot in and pass and dribble. Both 2-in-1. The ones which kind of Ward-Prowse is a little bit of, not too much, but hard to find players like that who had the skill, could take a tackle, give it back. Well, you've seen the pictures of Bishop holding Roy Keane by the neck. I'll ask him about that if I get a chance. That's a great photo. There's not many people who've got that kind of photo with Roy Keane. He's got his hands right around Roy Keane's neck. But Frankie, like you said, Should be good first event and everything.
It will be good, mate. Big production
Yeah.
level. The state of the art technology they have is very impressive. So, we've got the ability to screen the early kickoff game as well, so people will be able to keep an eye on that. The stage is going to be fantastic. The audio equipment and the sound system is literally state of the art, like the same system that NASA uses on their space shuttles and stuff like that. It's unbelievable.
Wow.
It will be a real serious production with that. Just going to be a pleasure to have somewhere before kickoff for 3 hours where it's all West Ham themed. You get a chance to talk through a Q&A, get stuff signed. We've got areas where you can get items signed if you want to bring them along. Obviously, Mad Dog's hosting it, so you've got him there as well. And then obviously we've got Ian Bishop as well. Mate, it's going to be a real occasion. It's going to be a lot of fun. I can't think of anything more we could do to make it the best experience that you can have before a West Ham home game, mate. And a stone's throw away from the ground. You can literally throw a stone at the stadium from where the venue is. So a really short, nice and easy walk.
But that is the key. I used to love it before, but then I used to get an Uber to get to the ground. This one ticks all the boxes. You get off the station, and then even my son was telling me, Dad, Hackney Wick is like a few minutes, mate. Walk, you get there, and starts at 11, and then I believe Frankie ends about 2:15. So you've got 45 minutes if you want to shoot off straight to the game. If you haven't got a ticket for the game, you can still turn up if you're local and mingle in and get your thing signed and have an interview. For me, it's priceless because I've met Phil Parks and John Moncur and Frank McAvenny, Julian Dix, blah, blah, blah. You can't put a price on that. Especially kids. If you take a kid with you, they meet your player, you get a picture done, you get all kinds of things done. There's food there, there's all kinds of alcohol. And I think Frankie's going to cherry on the cake, I think, with Frankie joining in, because it was good before, but I know where Frankie's going to improve it, and I think he'll be perfect, I think. And like Frankie said, the Supporters Club, I forgot to mention, everyone, Supporters Club haven't got that area anymore. So that area's gone now. You can't even go there. We know one or two people what they're up to and stuff, and I think this is one of the few where you kind of got the old school fans. You got the old boys in there with the old, there's not many of that around. The old school boys with the banter and all that kind of laugh, and then nicely sets you up for the game, really. So so Matt, when you're down, let me know. We'll take you to one of these events. I used to love doing that with the people. Take them along, mate. Daniel. Chicken tikka masala, you go to India and ask for that. They don't want to know what you're on about, mate, but it is what it is. And apparently he's challenging fish and chips. One quick question before I go to the chat. Frankie, have you ever had jelly deals? And Matt as well? Either of you ever had that? No, yes. Man.
Yeah,
really?
of course. Yeah, in my family, mate, a staple. Always jelly deals around.
Your little ones ain't gonna go near it, mate. No way.
No. I actually don't mind it. I'm quite a bomb disposal unit when it comes to food.
What does a jelly add to the meal? Because that's a bit off-putting, the jelly.
It's just a texture, really, because obviously the eel is very crunchy. You know what I mean? It's very.
No. What, the bones or?
Yeah, of course, yeah, the bones and everything. So I think it's kind of like offsets it with something maybe a little bit, because to eat a crunchy eel by itself, I mean, I've eaten eels by themselves, but I mean, it does add something different.
I never would have thought fish was crunchy, mate. Oh, you put me off even more. You've put me off even more. I've got a feeling Matt used to be down the canals, put his hand in the canals, grab a few up.
No,
don't even go there. No. But Frankie, you've had eel, jelly deal?
Yeah, mate. I've got to be honest. I absolutely love pie and mash, and it's my most favourite thing in the world.
Yeah, I love that, mate.
I'm a little bit of a weird one when it comes to being a London boy and seafood, because all my family absolutely love it. I'm not a fan of seafood at all. Not even prawns. Not any seafood, mate. So yeah, my dad used to try with cockles, and I remember having them. I remember eating cockles with my old man in a pub watching Linford Christie run the 100 metres. That was my first memory of cockles, but it's not for me, mate. It's all seafood is. My memories as a kid was being in bars.
Fish fingers, mate. You used to love them at school. Fish fingers.
To be honest, I can eat fish fingers and I can eat cod, and that's as far as it goes. But I remember growing up on a Sunday, being in the pub, dressed crab on the bar, really nice seafood all on the bar, and Sundays were the best drink of the week. And it was an occasion, a Sunday afternoon down the pub. You had a piano player, a singer, and all that.
Mate, look
I
at
miss all the
you.
old days. It was proper London people meeting up to end the week, and it's a shame that sort of tradition has faded out. You'd have your roast dinner and have your few drinks down the pub beforehand, and that. It was Sundays were good old days, mate. But yeah, unfortunately, I'm not a seafood man.
Would you have the McDonald's filet-o-fish?
I could eat that. I wouldn't.
Right.
I wouldn't choose it. I wouldn't choose
Matt's
it.
laughing.
I'd eat it.
It's not even seafood, mate.
No, it probably ain't, is it? No.
You don't know. But I eat everything. Raw oysters, everything. I'll send you some. I eat everything raw, mate. I eat all raw fish. Yeah,
that's what the
4x4.
Japanese do. That's what the Japanese do, mate. And it's high quality.
You can't see,
shit,
mate.
mate.
I'm quarter Japanese, mate. That's why.
Listen, Matt, you are very, very healthy and fit, and we'd love to be like you, and we hate you. No, but anyway, but there you go. I've got a few things like my hair anyway, but there you go. We can sort it out. But Daniel, Desert Warrior, is saying Moyes what he's doing. Listen, the Moyes issue is the in-game management, the substitutions. I think today it was after 73 minutes. That's far too late, mate. And when he did it, like Frankie said, you're fucking bringing 4 hours on. What's he going to do? He ain't going to score, is he? He ain't going to set anything up. He's just going to run and run and run. And then everyone's just running. You just love people just run and run for the sake of it. I think some of the... Yeah.
No, sorry, I was just about to say, I don't know if you guys have noticed it or if it's just me and I'm wrong, but I always notice, for example, like today, like many other games, it always takes us about 5 or 6 minutes to get guys on. You'll see them literally waiting there.
Yeah. I've been thinking about that.
Waiting there. Like today, I was waiting there and I saw when they were lining up the first subs, and it was around 69, 70, they were when they were actually by the fourth official. And the ball went out, and you just think to yourself, what's going on here? You know what I mean? And then, like you say, it was like 73, 74 minutes when the actual substitution was made. And I've seen that a lot. And I mean, I understand that the guys have got to have the game plan explained and everything, but they're crucial minutes that could cost us.
What's Desert on about? I can't believe it for someone. No, that's naughty. No, Benny. Listen, Benny can't do 90 minutes, mate. And I have seen him as a good sub. It's just something with Benny, especially with a game. This is a top 4, top 6 game. Benny is non-existent in these games. I don't know if it's confidence or it's a bit of physique. It's a bit of that, a bit of... I know Moyes knocked a lot of confidence out of me when he joined. Told him to stop dribbling. Don't do this, don't do that, in and out. Got his name as a 65th minute sub. Used to always go off 60. That's not good either. So Moyes has not helped himself sometimes managing Benny. Benny done a lot of good things like, good penalty taker, 1 or 2 other things, but his finishing is atrocious, like 4 nails in front of goal. But I think he's one of those that has to go, I think. We're going to get reasonable money for him, go in January, whatever, with 4 nails. And if Paqueta's going to go, I mean, Matt, the way I'm thinking, Paqueta's going to go. If Bailey wants to go, I'm at the mindset. I'll think differently if I was 14. I remember Tony Court. I was 14 when Tony Court got sold. I didn't know where to go, mate. I was unconsolable. Like when McAvenny went, I was like, oh my God, my life's finished. But now it's like the club will always remain. Players ain't going to be around. But use the money well, and we'll see what we do, mate. That's what I'm thinking. Listen, mate, I'm not going to take any more of your time. I've done 1.5 hours. That's more than enough. Thank you for everyone in the chat. For my final comments before I pass on to you guys is that we're 7th in the league, I think. I'll take that. But like Frankie said, you better fucking make sure you smash Sheffield United. And then as the season progresses, make sure you know what you're doing with Kudos anyway, a few of the others. And I don't think Moyes is going to improve on the substitution, so I'm not going to even go there anymore. He's not going to do it. He's going to do the same shit all the time. And let's see where we are in January window. We need a striker. The defenders need some help. The centre-backs need some coaching. There's no understanding there. That's a couple of things I'm thinking about today. But listen, it would have been lovely to get a point out of these 2 hard games, especially like we mentioned that we were beating City half time, we were drawing today, and yeah, Liverpool got a penalty. They always do against us, seems like. So yeah, let's look forward to Sheffield United. But anything less than 3 points, I'm fucking going to lose it for the first time this season. Over to you, Frankie.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, mate. Like I say, you know, there was a lot of talk on Thursday night about the lower attendance and the reasons why, and how people have other commitments and couldn't get over there, and it's difficult for some people. I think we can accept that and we can take that on board. But we've been here a little bit before with the rail strikes, mate, and some people see that as an opportunity not to go over there. We're coming off the back of 2 losses. We all want European football next year. We all want West Ham to do well. I think we all need to make an extra bit of effort. I'm booking a minibus for all of us lot down here to ferry us up there and get us to the game. And yeah, we all need to come out and be right up for that one. And I think a typical London stadium early kickoff, being a little bit lethargic, you know, we know that can happen at that ground, and it can be not the best place when strikes and so on. So I don't want it to be like that, mate. I think we all need to get to the event, get all G'd up and ready and raring to go, march to the stadium afterwards, mate, and then get right behind the boys, be loud, and yeah, rock us on back to winning ways, mate, because we really need to get back to winning games again next weekend, mate.
Definitely, and I think, dare I say it, hang on a minute. My eyesight's gone, still 3-0. Yeah, go over to you, Matt, but I think with Sheffield United, let's get some goals, let's entertain the fans, improve the goal difference, and then he'll look even better, mate. But yeah, over to you, Matt. What's your feelings about, where we are at the moment and Sheffield United game, mate?
Yeah, well, for me, I'm looking at the next 3 games, you know, outside of the cup competitions. You know,
Lincoln, isn't it? Lincoln coming up. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm looking at Sheffield United, Newcastle, and Villa. You know, the next 3 in the league, because I think we need to not lose, and we need to put in good performances, because, like Frankie was saying earlier, the top guys have separated. There's this mid cluster that Newcastle are in, that Villa seem to be finding themselves in, like Frankie says, that they're winning 1, losing 1, but whatever, but they're picking up points and doing well. I mean, realistically, we need 5 or 7 points to be able to maintain this pace after these, like you guys both said, that picking up 0 points from 6, where we could have picked up at least 1 or 2. And if you told me that we'd lose at Newcastle, but we'd win at Sheffield United and Villa, I might actually take that. I think I'd take that, as long as we don't get hammered against Newcastle. Because at the end of the day, like they say, points mean prizes, don't they? And we need these points, because otherwise, if we start to move down the table now, we don't want another repeat of last season. We don't want to be doing well in the European competitions and be floating around 14th, 15th, 16th in the league. Because, like you guys said, Moyes has had the money to spend, and he needs to correct what went wrong last year that allowed us to slip down the league so much. And fingers crossed we can do it. But just to repeat, like Frankie said, we need that team to start changing up, because otherwise, what's going to happen, like happened last year especially, we get found out. People know how we're going to set up. People know what team's going to be selected, and we become very obvious. And look at Leeds, for example, that under Bielsa many years ago, they were absolutely blistering until he refused to change tactics, refused to change players, and then got found out. And I think that's what the same thing is happening with us. So
good,
got to go for it.
Good points, mate. Peter says top 10 finish would be good.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see, mate. We'll see. We'll see. I think with a bit of luck in the draw, Carabao Cup, at least the final.
Jazz,
it's a target. It's a target.
Mate, I admire you. You always have the most enthusiasm and optimism for the cup competitions, mate. I envy you. I envy your passion for the cup.
I tell you what, Moyes always, since Moyes has come in, like kind of trying to weigh up how much I have a go at him. He always puts out a reasonable team in cups compared to some of the managers before. He always gives it a good go and a good effort. So Lincoln, I don't even know where it is. Where's Lincoln? Up north, next to Manchester somewhere? I ain't got a clue, mate. I don't know.
No idea.
We'll see what happens. But listen, Frankie, really looking forward to seeing you next week, mate. I shall grab my tickets where I need to tomorrow, and then we'll catch up next couple of days and see. We'll probably do the player ratings tomorrow. I don't know. We'll see what you guys are up to. Otherwise, I'll do it and I'll let you guys. But Matt, really good to see you, mate. I hope everything goes really well with the dog, mate. You know, I didn't know what it's like to have a pet till I got Ruby the cat. I'm so soft with her. I'm like proper part of the family. And lovely. Yeah, hope everything goes really well, mate. You know,
Thanks, mate.
It's a big operation. Hope he recovers really well, and he should do with a name after Bobby Moore, mate. You know what I mean? You know.
That's why the name is named like that.
Because Frankie's like that with his goldfish. Frankie's got goldfish that's 80 years old. It's like, no, I'm joking. No, only joking, mate. How's your little one, Frankie? feeling better? Little one, feeling better?
Yeah, he's not 100%, mate. He played football yesterday morning and he shouldn't have done, and it was probably a bit too much for him. And then I took him down to Maidstone, play Worthing. So Maidstone won 4-0 yesterday. It was a
I'll tell you what, Peter,
good game from my non-league football.
Yeah, hopefully you feel better, and yeah. It's a little bit of that, isn't it, at the moment? Peter, I'm a Wolves sausage man rather than Richmond, my man, even though Richmond's all right, mate. Just, that's it, mate. Oh, my God. Peter, Jesus Christ. But anyway, hope you two guys have a lovely Sunday, what's left of it, and we'll catch up soon, mate. Thanks for joining in the chat, and thanks a lot, Frankie. Thank you, Matt.
See you later.
Bye, mate. Bye-bye.
Internet, bye. Thanks for joining in, everyone. Take care.